Hey there, everyone. It's your good friend Eric Thompson. This is the Leading Edge Podcast. It's episode number 62. Thank you so much for engaging with this. It means the world to me. Guys, our downloads are blowing up, and it's just so cool to watch. It's so cool to watch those numbers grow. And so, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this podcast. I think it's fantastic. This one is called Self Talk. All right, so we're going to talk all about how you talk to yourself, how you don't talk to yourself. One thing I'll tell you right up front is that I sit here being pretty darn excited. One thing specifically I'm excited about is the fact that I just launched my coaching certification program. And that is really cool for me. And I'm so fired up for it. So we have a small group of people who are now committed, now getting together. They're on the path to become certified as coaches in the real estate industry. So they will be in 6 months fully certified, ready to go, ready to help out people. They will be fully equipped to help out other realtors achieve their goals. I'm going to give them all the tools, all the systems, all the coaching that I've ever learned on how to coach people. And this is something I've been thinking about doing for a long time. And I launched it, and it is awesome, even more fun than I thought. And everyone is just so engaged, and they're also excited. So that's why I am so excited. Okay, let's dive in. Self-talk. What do we say about self-talk? Have you ever heard that line that says, gosh, I wouldn't let my kids talk to other people the way that I talk to myself? And for me, what I would say, I wouldn't let my kids talk to other people the way I used to talk to myself. So this is something that I really believe I've mastered. I've gotten good at. I've really practiced it. It's taken a lot of practice. And it starts with awareness, just becoming aware of what are the things that you say to yourself. And when you become aware of that, you may say, geez, if I have kids, would I let my kids speak that way to another person? Well, there's no way. Like when I used to think, or when I think about how I used to talk to myself, there's no way that I would let my kids talk to other people that way. It's just downright mean, all right? So why don't we hold the same standard for ourselves? If you notice how you talk to yourself, if you're giving yourself a really hard time, right? If you're just harassing yourself, like, would you let your kids talk to other people in that same way? If you do have kids, probably not. All right, so as we embark here, as we dive in, why don't we start with looking at what are the problems that occur when we are speaking to ourselves in ways that are not useful, not valuable, right? So we'll talk about the problems, and then we'll get to the benefits of speaking to yourself in much more effective ways. And wouldn't we all agree that, yes, we do have an inner voice? Like, isn't that a fascinating thing just to begin with, that we actually have an inner voice that we can hear, like we can hear ourselves talk to ourselves. And I think, it's hard to say exactly. We would never know, but I think that we're the only species on the planet where that's true. Like, isn't that fascinating that we have language in the first place? And because we have language, it means that we can talk to ourselves. And because we can talk to ourselves, some good things can come of that, and some not so good things can come of that. So why don't we start with the problems? All right, so there are a handful of problems as I see it when I think about speaking to ourselves in really negative ways, right? Negative ways, not useful, not valuable. Things like, I'll never, I'm terrible at, I can't, I'm just not that person. By the way, always the word just is a tip off to something that is not effective. I'm just not that way. I just can't do that. All those kinds of things. Problem number one is that they tend to be really mean. All right. It's mean. And this may harken you back to, like, I don't know, like elementary school maybe, or junior high. If there were some mean kids in school who said mean things to you, or maybe to your friends, or you witnessed these mean things being said, that doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel good to hear that. And also, if you have ever said mean things, it doesn't feel so good to say them, right? So it's like this double impact. You're not only hearing mean things, you're saying mean things. So that's not good, right? It's like putting poison in your body when you got this mean talk going on internally. So I think that's an obvious one, right? So an obvious problem with negative self-talk, not useful self-talk, is the fact that it's mean. The second problem is that it's a lie. Now, this is a big aha, I hope, for you. These are lies because, guys, when you boil it down, like when you look at it closely, when you examine something like I can't, or I'll never, or I'm just not that person, that, guys, that is a lie. Now, I am talking about things that are are purposeful, things that are tied to your skill set, things that are really tied to your. When I say purposeful, what I mean is like your purpose in life. So what I don't mean is like me being able to dunk a basketball. So even though I'm tall, I can't dunk a basketball. So that's actually true, right? That's not a lie. But that has nothing to do with my purpose, right? I wasn't put on the planet to dunk a basketball. Like that's not what I'm meant to do. So when you really look at what you are meant to do, what your true potential is, what your purpose is, why you're around in the first place, when you start attaching things like I can't and I'll never, guys, that is a lie, right? So when you believe that you're not a good person, that you're not worthy, that you're not capable, those are all lies. And check it out. Not only is it negative to hear lies about yourself, but there is all kinds of research around what happens to your body, like what happens internally when you lie. And there are really fascinating things that literally happen to your body, like happens to your body. So what goes on is your body literally cannot lie. Your body can't lie. And so your body gets weaker when you lie. And just go look this up, go research this. There's a lot of science behind this around what happens to the human body when it's lying. Like it goes weak, like literally goes weak, like muscles go weak. There's muscle testing that you can do when you're lying and your body is literally weaker. So there you are lying to yourself, getting weaker. Not only are you hearing the lie, you're saying the lie, which then makes you weaker, right? So lying isn't good. Hearing a lie isn't good. And so telling a lie to yourself isn't going to be good, right? That's not good at all. The next thing that happens, the next problem, is the fact that you start to look for evidence that you are right. So you have this thought of I can't, I'll never. So then what the brain starts doing is it starts to back that up. It starts to look for evidence that that is true. I want you to consider how good it feels to be right. Now, one thing about me and Julie, my wife, is that we rarely fight. Like it's just a great gift that I have in our relationship. Like we rarely have disagreements, but when we do, what I'll tell you, it feels really good to be right. But it doesn't happen that often. Darn it! Don't tell her I said that. But when you are in an argument, can't you feel that, right? Can't you think back to an argument you had and maybe you were right, and how good did that feel to be right? So the point is, your brain really enjoys being correct. It likes being right. And because of that, it's going to scan the world. It's going to scan your environment for evidence that you are right. So even though it's a lie, it's going to look for evidence to try to back it up. So it may go back into your past, a time where you messed up, a time where you fell short, and you're going to say to yourself, see, remember that time when you really messed up? I told you, you can't. Like, you really can't do that. I told you so. I told you so that you can't. So that's another problem. You start to look for evidence. And then that leads to a really, really massive problem, even bigger than all the other ones I've mentioned, is that you end up creating the reality. So here's what I mean. You are being mean to yourself, which is a lie. Now you start to scan the world for evidence that you're right. And then you create an environment which then backs up that lie that you're telling to yourself. Here's an easy example. In a prior podcast, I talked about the fact that I got divorced, right? So Julie's my second wife. I messed up the first time, nailed it the second time, like knocked it out of the park. The second time, When I got divorced, like what I was telling myself is that I suck at relationships, right? I guess I suck at relationships. I suck at being married. I'll never. And so because I was saying to myself, I suck at, guess what? I wasn't getting into a new great relationship, right? I had to stop lying to myself before Julie could show up in my life. So are you, in any part of your life, are you saying to yourself, I suck? I suck at working out. I suck at holding commitments. I'm terrible at eating right. I'm terrible at staying organized and on track and staying true to my schedule. I'm just terrible at connecting with clients. I'm terrible at follow up, right? All those things. Guess what? When you're saying that to yourself over and over again, you create that as the reality. Like that becomes the reality. And there is no other outcome that could be created when you are saying that to yourself, all right? So when you're saying to yourself over and over again, I'm just terrible at committing to an exercise plan, right? I'm terrible at getting myself healthy. Are you ever going to end up getting healthy coming from that place? No way, right? No way. So that that can you see is a big problem with saying ineffective things to yourself. Not only is it mean, not only is it a lie, not only are you scanning the world for evidence, but you've now created the environment. You've created it to be true in terms of it just being a reality of your life. All right, so those are all the problems. I think you get it. I think maybe that's making you squirm in your seat a little bit. And maybe you're noticing some of those things that you've said yourself. And so now let's flip this around. Let's flip this around to what are the benefits when you can say valuable, useful, worthy things to yourself. Well, number one, the obvious one is that now you're being nice to yourself. And it's always good to be nice. Being nice to other people in the world is a good thing, right? It's the old you catch more flies with honey. And for sure, there are times you have to lay down the law and set boundaries and all those things. But you can do those things too in a nice and respectful way, with a smile on your face. So first benefit of being nice to yourself is that you're being nice to yourself and you're hearing good things, you're hearing positive things about yourself. And by the way, this is not like, I'm not saying fake it till you make it. I'm not saying make stuff up. I'm not saying be all rainbows and unicorns about it, but like just be nice to yourself and tell yourself the truth. So that is the next benefit. Because the truth is, guess what? The truth is you're a good person. The truth is you are absolutely capable. The truth is you are absolutely worthy. The truth is absolutely you are powerful. Absolutely. And like, tell me that that's not true. Like if you want to debate that with me, like, let's go. like, let's go. Like, let's even pretend that we're in a courtroom. And are you trying to defend your position that you're not good or capable or worthy? Like, are you really going to try to defend that? And I would much rather be on the other side of that. Like, I would welcome the opportunity to be on the other side of that argument and me being able to look into your past, look at your current capabilities. And I would say to you, okay, game on. Let's go debate that right now. And I do that a lot actually in my coaching, right? So when I'm coaching people, oftentimes we're having that debate. Oftentimes people are like hanging on to a position that they're actually not capable, that they're not worthy, that they actually can't. And I'm like, really? Let's go. Let's go debate that right now, right? And so when you can turn that into instead of a thought I'm terrible at, you turn it into a thought. You know what? I was made for this. I was made for this. This is me right now. This is my moment. This is my moment to shine. This is my moment to grow. This is my moment to get after it. This is my moment to push. That is the truth. I was made for this. Then guess what happens next? You look for evidence that that is true. And how cool is that, right? So how cool is that when you're saying to yourself, you know what? I was made for this. I'm figuring this out. And then you start scanning the universe. You're scanning your environment for that being true. Watch out, right? Can you see now that you become unstoppable? You are unstoppable when you're scanning your environment for that kind of evidence to back up the fact that you were made for this, that you are good, that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are powerful, because there is all kinds of evidence. All you got to do is just look for it. And then ultimately where you end up is you create that as the reality, right? You create, that is the reality. That becomes your reality. I mentioned earlier that I just launched my coaching certification program. You all need to know, I've been thinking about this for years, right? I've been thinking about this for years, and there was all kinds of things that would crop up in my head and reasons why I can't. A lot of those were due to time. There's no way, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And then I flipped that to, you know what, I was made for this. This is something I have to do. I was made for this. There's so many people there that will absolutely benefit from this. And then I started creating that, started creating that as a reality. And then guess what? That became the truth, right? That became the truth. And that is my new reality. That is my new environment. That's my new evidence that's all around me. The last thing I'll tell you related to self-talk is that self-talk is instructive. All right, self-talk is instructive. So here's what I mean. When you are saying to yourself positive, empowering, useful, valuable things to yourself that are all the truth, you then start instructing yourself, obviously, on how to think about yourself, which then dictates you're instructing to yourself how you're going to act toward yourself. But then also, guys, the other thing that happens when you are speaking to yourself in much more constructive ways, you impact the ways that other people think about you. Now, I want you to think about someone who you really respect, you really look up to, who you just know has terrific things to say about themselves. That, again, that are not made up, that are the truth, right? They're very useful things. Like, you just know that they have some really constructive thoughts running through their brain about themselves. And then I want you to consider how that influences how you think about them. And isn't that true? Like, don't we take instructions from how people think about themselves into the way we are going to think about them? Aren't those two things usually in alignment? All right. And maybe you could take out like your immediate family. Like, I think about my mom. Like, my mom's amazing. I know she loves me. She's going to have amazing things to think about me no matter what I may be thinking about myself. But like, if it's your mom for you in that example, like, besides your mom, isn't it true that other people are going to pick up on how you think about yourself, and they're going to start to think about you in the same way that you think about yourself? Then where that goes is they will act toward you in certain ways based on how they're thinking about you, right? So isn't that true? So can't you see that the way you act toward people who have really positive things to think about themselves is way different than the way you may act toward people who have negative things to say about themselves? And I'm not saying that you're mean to those kind of people, but you may not pay them as much respect. You may not value them as much. You may not pay as much attention to them. And if you want things like respect, if you want things like attention, if you want things like love and positivity, guess what? Guess where it starts? Guess it starts with you, right? So when you can be respectful to yourself, that will instruct how other people are going to think about you. And then guess what? They will pay you respect because that is influencing how they act toward you. So I can think about this for me, very specific examples where, like, there's been relationships where maybe I just don't feel totally respected. Like, I can think about some professional relationships. I'm like, what's up? Like, I'm just not feeling all the love here. I'm not feeling 100% respect. And then what I can do is I can go look at, well, how am I treating myself in this situation, right? How am I treating myself in this dynamic, in this relationship? Am I treating myself with 100% respect? Am I giving myself a hard time at all? And is this other person picking up on that? And if I were to totally change how I'm thinking, what I'm saying to myself, might that influence how they're acting toward me? And guess what? It does. It totally does. So I have shifted this in me, and what I've watched are these other relationships shift. All right. And it's not like these other relationships are now just like all hunky dory, but what I can feel is I'm getting way more respect in those relationships. And it started with me. So again, the last thing I'll tell you related to self-talk is that self-talk is instructive. It will end up instructing how other people think about you, And then that leads to instructing how other people are going to act toward you. So bottom line, guys, you just got to get aware, right? You got to get aware of what you're saying to yourself. Consider, is it useful? Is it constructive? Is it mean? Or is it nice? And then you can get to, is it the truth, right? Is it the truth? What am I doing in terms of looking for evidence to be right? And what's a better way to think about this? What's a better way I can talk to myself? What are some better things I can say to myself that are the truth? Where then I can start to look for evidence to back that up, which then is helping me to create a much better reality, which is then also influencing and instructing how other people think about me and how other people are going to act toward me. That's it, guys. I hope that this was instructive. I hope that this was helpful. Again, I so appreciate you engaging with this podcast. It means the world to me. If you want more things like this, like if you want more hands-on coaching, if you want to be a part of a group who is committed to just growing and getting better and contributing like every single day, being at their best every day so they can have the life and business that they want, you need to check out Alpha State. Go to alphastateclass.com. I have some goodies there for you to check out. So go check that out, alphastateclass.com. Guys, in the meantime, enjoy your day. Can't wait to see you in the next podcast, and keep enjoying life on the leading edge.